Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're on another seasonal championship. This one's called Let's Be Reasonable. So we're in C-class cars that cost 30,000 credits or less. So that should offer up a fairly decent amount of variety in terms of the cars that we can use. Should be some classics, some modern cars, and everything else in between pretty much. So yeah, we're getting there in the GMC Typhoon, which has been recently added to the game by the festival playlist. It's still available for 20 points, so get out there and get it. It's a fantastic car. I personally prefer it to the Cyclone. I just think it looks better, and yeah.
In 400 yards, you will arrive at your destination.
An SUV from 30 years or so ago that is as quick as it is, quite frankly, because a lot of SUVs from before the 90s on this game are anywhere near as quick as this. So
you
yeah.
have arrived at your destination.
It's just like skill points go away. Oh, right, so let's see where we're racing and what we're going to be racing in. So we're in the city for one, outside the city for another, and obviously we're near the racetrack for another one. So yeah, we've got a pair of Acuras to try out, which pretty much the same kind of power and weight as each other, despite being different kind of models. And then we've got the BMW 2002 Turbo, which I would not presume would be only costing less than 30,000 credits. It doesn't actually say how much there are on this once you're in the championship, but yeah, it's less than 30,000 credits, which is a bit of a surprise for a 50-year-old car. Then we've got the Chevrolet Impala Super Sport, pretty powerful, especially for the mid-90s from America, but yeah, it's got a really bad automatic gearbox, which has awful gear ratios, and yeah, it weighs more than 4,000 pounds, so despite having a big engine with plenty of power and torque, it's not that quick. Then we've got a brace of Fords, everything from a Focus RS to a Racing Puma to an F-150 Lightning to the Ford Mustang SVO, which is one of the newer cars on this championship we get to choose from. I say that, but it's obviously still quite a car that came out on this game a while ago. Then we've got a bunch of Civics and a Prelude and a CRX SIR. SIR is a pretty good car, even though its bodywork makes it look like it's something it's not, which is a rear-wheel drive coupe, whereas it's obviously a front-wheel drive coupe, but still, good-looking car. And then we've got the Lexus SC300, which has the glitch still in it with the headlights being missing, but it's only because I haven't painted the car or upgraded it recently, so yeah, but it's still a really, really good car. 3 litre, I think it's inline 6 or V6, decent handling car, but again, not massive amounts of power for the amount of weight that it's got going on. Couple of Mazda MX-5s, a 323 GTR, which is basically like the Nissan Pulsar GTIR that you can see on the right there. Then the Savannah RX-7, which is my favourite version of the RX versions of from Mazda. Prefer it to the RX-8, and yeah, certainly prefer it to the likes of the models before that. Then we've got the Mini John Cooper Works, not the most powerful Mini by any means, but it's just in the sweet spot, to be honest, in terms of power and torque, especially since it doesn't weigh all that much either. Then we've got a couple of Mitsubishis. The Starion is easily my favourite of the two, with the Pulsar being my favourite of the two of the Nissans. And we've got the Polaris, which is got to be useless on this kind of championship. A couple of Renaults. I like both of them, to be honest, although the Clio Williams is either the more driver focused kind of car. It's extremely lightweight, still has a decent amount of power of torque as well. Bunch of Toyotas, favourite of which is probably the Super 2 litre GT. Again though, not massively powerful for a vehicle of that weight. Then we've got the Toyota MR2 Supercharged, fantastic mid-engine rear-wheel drive car. Then the Corsa VXR, a really rather good modern hot hatchback. Then a couple of Volkswagens, the GTI VR6, which is a hot hatchback, and then the Coupe Corrado. Corrado is my favourite, just based on the looks, and yeah, it's actually a little bit lighter than the GTI it shares its engine with. And finally, the big old boat of a Volvo 850R. Plenty of power, but again, does still weigh a lot, and it is front-wheel drive. So yeah, first car we're gonna choose from is we're gonna go. I think we'll start off with the newer car in terms of what's been added to this game, because all these other ones are pretty much stock to the game. And yeah, I really am a big fan of this Mustang. It's easily the most powerful Mustang for a long time in the the generations. You have to go back to the early 70s to find a more powerful Mustang, and yeah, Good amount of power and torque, doesn't weigh very much, and yeah, it's not a V8 or anything like that, and the brakes are a little bit on the bad side, but it's a really rather good handling car for a car of its type. And even though the engine that it has, which is basically an uprated Pinto engine, doesn't sound particularly great, it does at least pack a decently powerful punch because it is turbocharged, which, yeah, is something that is common nowadays pretty much for a Mustang, but back in the mid-80s that was a bit of a revelation. So let's see what we can do against a more modern competition somewhat. A couple of BMWs behind us, but which are obviously older. They're also turbocharged and also don't weigh very much either. Wish we did have more classic BMWs on these games though, because that 2002 Turbo is pretty much the oldest one we've had. That is a proper car, that is. Obviously we have the Isetta, which is even older than that. It's not really a proper car, that. Yeah, this handles pretty well, even though it does roll around a lot. Yeah, as you can probably hear, it's not the most exciting of sounding engines. But it does the job. Coming through, fellow Mustang. Which is the newer Fox body version of this one. That does have a V8, and that is a pretty powerful car. It's pretty much only as quick as it is because it shoved a load of weight out of it, like rear seats and other creature comforts, just to make it as light as possible to make the most of its engine. Right, can we beat the big old boat that is the Impala? More power than we do, more torque as well, but also way more in the way of weight, about 1,000 pounds heavier. And it has that awful automatic gearbox. Certainly hear it more than we can with this engine though. It's also not as good as handling car as we are. V8 Mustang is coming up behind us. Just hold the speed for the corners, we should keep ahead. Oh, we're hardly having the speediest of races, but it's still a lot closer than you might expect. And there we go. Not the quickest amount of speed across the line there, but certainly enough to keep us in the lead. So there we go. This Mustang SVO does make me wish that we had the Dodge Omni Shelby thing, which is a front wheel drive hot hatchback, like no other American car had been at that point, but unfortunately we don't. But yeah, regardless, that gives us the 20 points, which is a solid start to this championship. So let's move on to the next race. Right, so let's continue on with this championship. So yeah, we've got a wide variety of vehicles to choose from. I'm not going to pick another Ford, because obviously we've already been in one. So yeah, let's see. I'm thinking the Mazda MX-5. Always been a fan of this version of the MX-5. Obviously the MX-5 from 2005 with its turbocharged, slightly smaller engine has more power and more torque, and we weigh a little bit more, but we have a bigger displacement of engine, which I feel like gives us more mid-range clout. And yeah, without having to rely on a turbocharger, it means that it doesn't matter what gear or what revs we're at, we still will have the power there and then. and yeah, it's slightly more balanced as well, and yeah, I feel like with it being a little bit more modern it might have better handling. But yeah, some people don't like this version of the MX-5 for some reason. Not sure why. I think it's a really rather tasteful, modern incarnation of the car. It still looks somewhat like the older versions, but it's yeah also modern enough to set itself apart. And it still keeps the really rather good recipe of the older cars. Not much in the way of weight, rear wheel drive, manual gearbox, and a decent amount of power. I think I'm right in saying that the MX-5 is one of the few cars on most Forza games that are new. They've had pretty much every generation going for it, in one form or another. Obviously there's not been that many generations of the car, and they're hardly rare to get hold of, but yeah, I think I'm right in saying that. Didn't come out of that corner the best. Speed. So few people actually like this version of the MX-5 that this is one of the cheapest second-hand cars you can buy out there from the MX-5 lineup, so which I think is no bad thing. Which makes it not only reasonably priced in this game but also in the real world. High revving engine on it as well. Pretty well balanced in terms of the handling. Get it to slide out with ease without losing it. Powers out of the corner without having to worry about turbo lag or anything like that. Ahead of another favourite of mine, the Mitsubishi Starion. Comfortably faster across the finish line than the Ford was at 100 miles an hour. So yeah, not the most powerful of cars out there, especially in terms of sports cars, but I really rather quite like that version of the MX-5 to be honest, and I think it's aged quite well after only 10 years. So yeah, and again that gives us another 20 points, so we're now top of the leaderboard by 8 points, so yeah, but this could easily go wrong if we collapse down the leaderboard in the next and final race. So let's get out there and see what happens. Right, so with the MX-5 they're giving us another win. Let's go for something perhaps a little bit riskier. Something less likely to give us a win, but not so much that it will likely fail us. I'm thinking the Supra. It's a good handling car, to be honest, despite the weight. But yeah, it's got more power than the MX-5 and the Mustang, but it's heavier than both of them. But yeah, I'm not sure. I do want risk, just to shake things up a little bit. than the Lexus. Even heavier, even more power though. But that's a bit bland, I find. Let's go for the Supra. So yeah, 2 litre turbocharged inline 6, I believe. Pop-up headlights. Oh, it's got twin turbos even. Forget about that. So yeah, should have more power than it does given twin turbos and 6 cylinders and the like, but what is there is still pretty powerful. I don't think it looks great. Let's high rev it again like the Mazda. Its slippery body as well, even though it's only got 206 horsepower, it's pretty sharpish at the top end. Not the best brakes though, from high rates of speed anyway. Through the competition. Does love to drift, this car. Completely outbrake myself there. Way too late for a car of this age, size, weight, and speed we're covering there. Volkswagen not far behind, with the same number of cylinders as us, although in a different configuration. The Acura. Don't let me down, Toyota. Give me all the speed you got. Some drafting on the go to improve our slipperiness. Come on. There we go. Well, definitely riskier, but still gave us the end result that we needed. Oh, yeah, that Supra is a little bit more difficult to drive. The brakes are nowhere near as good as they were on the MX-5. Or even the Ford in some respects, because obviously the Ford weighed less than the Supra does, and There's only 6 years in it, but yeah, still, that gave us the 20 points, 60 points at the top of the leaderboard, giving us the win. Or more importantly, giving us the 5 points towards the festival playlist, which will give you the GMC Typhoon. It's at the beginning of this episode. So, yeah, fun little championship that. I like the idea of, you know, choosing cars based on their value and their general class. It would be nice to have, like, you know, A-class cars between 50 and 100,000 or something like that, or anything like that, to be honest, would be a nice change up from the usual, where it's usually like decade or, you know, manufacturer, or, you know, the class that they're in, like GT cars or sports cars or anything like that. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this episode. I certainly did, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.